Hey everyone, Gaijin Goomba here. Still in this weird nightmare of being human, but it's given me time to think about a game I really took for granted when it came out, Until Dawn. Now, I've never been one for slasher flicks, mostly because I was a sheltered child, and now that I see them as adults, I just don't find them too entertaining. Which at first is why I didn't much care for Until Dawn. It's not a bad genre of horror, it's just one I never really got into. But having discovered information about the monster of the game, my interest was more than a little piqued. Now, before I get started, fair warnings right now. There are tons of spoilers in this episode. Like, one of the biggest twists in the game is getting analyzed. So if you haven't played the game yet but want to, come back after you get done. Don't worry, I can wait. Okay, we good? Alright? Alright. So, the Wendigo. Before I got into this game, I always thought the Wendigo was something like this. Kind of a hairy Bigfoot looking sucker. But in Until Dawn, I sat there pondering, how did we get from this to this zombie looking thing? Well, my fellow theorists, let's break it down. The Wendigo is a cryptid of Northeast America and Canada around the Great Lakes. In the description from the Ojibwe or Chippewa people, it was described as a hairless ape. As tall as a tree, with a lipless mouth and jagged teeth. Its breath was a strange hiss, its footprints full of blood, and it ate any man, woman, or child that ventured into its territory. Sometimes the Wendigo chose to possess a person instead of eating them, and the luckless individual became a Wendigo himself, hunting down those he had once loved and feasting upon their flesh. Now these sound like the big Sasquatch-looking monsters that we've seen in games like Final Fantasy and World of Warcraft. But let's compare that to the Wendigo of Until Dawn. The Wendigo in Until Dawn might seem big, but size of a tree, they ain't. And while it is hairless, this thing does not look apish, more like cadaverish. And as far as procreation, if you can even call it that, Wendigos of the Northwest apparently possess people and curse them into becoming Wendigos. And in the game?
Should any man or woman resort to cannibalism in these woods, the spirit of the Wendigo shall be unleashed.
Maybe they can be cured, or...
They surrender human rights the moment they eat one another. There's no cure, there's no redemption.
So how did Until Dawn go from Fuzzy Wuzzy over here to the zombie-looking horror show? The answer is actually found in the description of the monster as told by the Algonquian people, in which the Wendigo was described to be anywhere from human-sized to 15 feet tall, with sunken eyes, a zombie-like ragged body which was freezing to the touch, bloody lips, yellow fangs, long nasty tongues, and a ravenous appetite for human flesh. Now that's closer to the Wendigo we know in Until Dawn. But just one problem. Even that legend says the Wendigos will curse other people to become Wendigos themselves. There's no mention of a curse being brought on by cannibalism as is in the game. So where did that concept come from? The answer to this comes not from legend, but psychology. No lie, there's an actual cultural-bound mental condition known as Wendigo psychosis, known to the indigenous peoples of the Northeast. The mental illness was typically developed during the harshest months of winter, when families would become isolated from their communities due to heavy snowfall and chilling temperatures. Over time, the isolation and inevitable food shortage would slowly start to drive one mad, looking to their family or neighbors as food, and eventually, the afflicted would give in to the cannibalistic preference, even when food became available to them in the spring. On top of this, in most cases, the afflicted person actually starts to believe that they themselves have become Wendigos. Whether or not it's an honest delusion or an insanity plea is difficult to tell. Realistically, it's this psychosis that may very well have created the legend of the Wendigo altogether. In a more primitive time when food was far more scarce, I'm sure there were more than a few people who were going mad from hunger and gave in to cannibalism. And to prevent a complete community breakdown, it's likely that the legend of the Wendigo was created to prevent the people of the rural community from basically eating each other when starvation hit during winter. And with this, we have finally come full circle with Until Dawn. The zombie-like appearance, the curse associated with cannibalism, everything is just about accounted for. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Now I've seen a lot of you guys missing my old style of character and voice, and if so, I got great news for you. I have a brand new Game Exchange episode up on my channel right now talking about Dia de los Muertos and the hidden culture behind Skylanders. Or if you're looking for something a little more topical, click here to check out my take on the whole censorship debate with Fatal Frame and sexy unlockable DLC outfits. And a super big thank you to Noteblock for letting me use his music in this episode. This stuff is just so perfect. But until next time everyone, this is Gaijin Kumba signing out.